summoning mechanics in card games, Yu-Gi-Oh has a pretty decent number of that. 6 all the summoning mechanics. Now with the intro out of the way, let's get this ranking started. It's time! Summoning is pretty much different than any other summoning mechanic in the game, making it pretty much the hardest mechanic to explain. Pendulum summoning involves pendulum monsters. Pendulum monsters can be placed in the 2 pendulum zones that are in the far left and right places of the magic trap part of the field. Every pendulum monster has something called a pendulum scale, and you can only pendulum summon monsters whose levels are in between the pendulum scales of the pendulum monsters. For example, let's say you have your pendulum monsters in your pendulum zones with scales of 2 and 7. You can now pendulum summon monsters whose levels are 3 to 6. You can also pendulum summon monsters from the extra deck that were sent there one way or another. Unfortunately, pendulum summoning has gotten a lot of hate from the community since it was revealed it was coming to the game. Many thought it would ruin the game. Cut to the present day, and the hate for this mechanic hasn't gone away, with some players refusing to give this mechanic a try. Which is a shame because this mechanic is actually pretty fun. It adds a completely different dynamic to the game, making it the most interesting way to play the game in my opinion. I just wish more people would give this mechanic a chance.
Pendulum summoning. I never use this. My biggest problem with it is that it feels that they have reworked this way too many times. The original ruling used to be so different. Not to mention with all the pendulum summoning, they put this for fusion, XCs, and even synchros to pendulums. They're trying to make this work, but it feels like not a lot of people are trying it as much. The only thing I've ever seen get played pendulum-wise in anything anymore is Mythical Beast, which is normally for negating any sort of damage or destruction. As for myself, while I did have fun using the Dynamist deck in our pendulum summoning video, I can never really push myself to go and willingly play pendulum summoning. I might do Performer Pals one day just for the lulz, but overall, pendulum summoning's just not for me.
It's time! It's the most recent summoning mechanic added into the game, and it's interesting. All you need are monsters that fit the criteria of the link monster you want to link summon from the extra deck, and place that link monster in the extra monster zone. Unfortunately, this mechanic also received some hate for pretty much the same reason as pendulum summoning, but this time the hate for this mechanic did die down, and now has become the biggest mechanic in the game in my opinion. Most decks has at least one link monster, because you don't need much to perform a link summon. I'd say any Cyberse deck that's link summoning heavy are good decks to help you learn how this mechanic works. I can't wait to see how they shake up the game next. Bring it on!
Link summoning, where we can summon the Legend of Zelda hero Link. Zelda Sheik. Wait a minute, wrong game. Oops, 1 second.
Do it again.
Anyway, yes, link summoning. It's just boring to sit through half the time when you're playing against somebody, but when you do play this with friends, you feel like you can create some insane combos with your decks. For me, I would recommend trying out World Challenge just to learn the mechanics. And if you think you're ready, trying Sky Strikers or something further beyond might be for you. As long as you're willing to read specific circumstances for your link monsters, as well as willing to sit there for God knows how long just to get to your turn, I think link summoning might be perfect for you. And if not, go play The Legend of Zelda.
It's time!
IXC summon!
XC summoning is the second special summoning mechanic introduced to the game since the DM era. All you need are two monsters that have the same level. Place one of them on top of the other, and place the Xyz monster that has the same rank as the 2 monsters you're using from the extra deck on top of those monsters. You may have noticed that I mentioned rank, because Xyz monsters don't have levels, they have ranks, and the rank numbers are placed on the opposite side of where the levels go. This is a fun and interesting mechanic that I don't think has been played as much as I think it should, but I still see it being played by the community, which makes me happy. The decks I'd say can help people understand it are pretty much any deck from the Zexal characters. But if I had to be specific, I'd say Battleline Boxers and Heroic Challengers.
XE summoning. Another situation where you have to do specific math for stuff. And while some decks have rank up magic cards to increase your rank further beyond, XE summoning is just hit or miss. It depends on what you play. For example, if you play something like Utopia, then you're going to have a lot of fun. But if you play something else, then it feels like your opponent's just going to counter you every single time. Not to mention that if you get flipped face down, you can't really XE summon. So if you are scared of Paleozoic Canadia as a card, watch out, XE players.
Now you know your XCs. Next time, won't you get good?
It's time to...
Ritual summoning is the second special summoning mechanic introduced to the game ever. All you need are the ritual magic cards, the ritual monster you want to ritual summon, and at least one monster whose levels equal the level of the ritual monster you want to ritual summon. This is the least popular summoning mechanic, and for pretty much the reason that you have to commit to having some cards in your deck to make this mechanic work, and even then, there is a chance you could brick your hand with a few of those cards and not have the others. However, there are decks that make this mechanic a bit easier to do. I suggest playing Megalith and Gishki, because I think those decks can help give a better understanding for how this mechanic works.
Ritual summoning. This was the first ever boss monster concept I had in my old Yugioh deck with Blackluster Soldier. I don't hate it as much as other people do. Yes, it can force an archetype on you, but at the same time there are different support cards for this mechanic, like the Manjun and Kanjun cards, as well as the decks themselves being able to give you the spell cards you need. For example, when me and Fireball did this duel, we each had a field spell that can allow us to get our spell cards or even our monster cards out for this specific mechanic. It can be fun, especially since a lot of ritual summoning decks are based on some of the old school cards. Hell, recently Hungry Hamburger got its own archetype. Think about that. Hungry Hamburger.
Now please, don't perform any rituals to summon demons, because they'll be nightmares to deal with.
It's time to...
Fusion Summon!
Summoning is the very first special summoning mechanic introduced to the game, even dating back to the very first set, Legend of Blue Eyes. All you need are polymerization or any archetype-centered fusion cards, and the appropriate materials listed on the fusion monster you want to fusion summon from the extra deck. Before, you just need specific listed on the monster. This mechanic throughout the years to where you require non-specific monsters for some fusion monsters. It's pretty much the easiest mechanic to use and learn. So if you're just starting, fusion summoning is the best one to start with. Now the deck I'm suggesting is the most obvious choice, but in the words of Lenny Portor from Team 4-Star, sometimes it's obvious because it's right. Elemental Heroes is pretty much the best deck to learn this mechanic because it's full of fusion monsters. It could rival the Justice League. Have fun fusing as much monsters as possible in the future.
Fusion summoning is my personal favorite, but I must respect the list we came up with together. I really love this mechanic because it can be a lot of fun to use. I like to use fusion decks from time to time, and there are some fusion cards that don't necessarily require polymerization, or if you feel threatened, you have super polymerization for other archetypes, as well as just being able to get yourself out of a sticky jam. And yes, I did play Elemental Heroes in that fusion video, because while it is basic, they have a lot of versatility. And that's just fusion summoning in general. It's a lot of versatility for different types of fusion monsters you can do, and there's a reason that they keep adding fusion monsters to the game. It's versatile and very handy, and very friendly to beginning players.
It's time to...
Let's rev it up!
special summoning mechanic introduced to the game since the DM era. All you need are tuner monsters, at least one non-tuner monster, and a sequel monster in your extra deck whose level equals the tuner and non-tuners tuners levels you're using for the sequel summon. This is my number one favorite mechanic because all you need is knowledge of basic math, and I was a math whiz in high school. So any excuse I need to do some math, I'll take it. Plus, it's a lot of fun to play, and the animations of the summons have been amazing in my eyes. If you want to get into this mechanic, I'd say use any deck that's from the 5D's anime. And I hope you all stay in sync with me.
Synchro summoning. It's a little bit harder than something like fusion summoning or ritual summoning, but like ritual summoning, it's basic math. Just use the tuner as like a plus or minus symbol, and you're good to go. There are a lot of fun decks that I had. Specifically, Ice Bear has been the fun synchro monster deck that I've played with so far, while I will give time of day to the Blackwing deck that I played, and X-Saber. It can be a lot of fun, and the monsters themselves are really interesting. While they can be complicated by making synchro tuner monsters and pendulum synchro monsters, overall, I think synchro monsters have a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Even if you're not a big fan of 5Ds, I can respect what synchro monsters did for the game. And goddamn does the card art for synchro monsters look really fucking cool half the time, even though they're mostly freaking dragons! Oh wait, that's just mostly Yugioh monsters in a nutshell.
And that is it with the summoning mechanics rank. You got it. And this might be the only ranking I do, but if you guys are indeed interested in me doing more, I'm kind of open to doing more. But yeah, if you have any more ideas, let me know in the comments below. Yeah, thank you all for watching the two Autistics rank the mechanics. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a like. And remember, no, wait, oops, I almost did my racist breast cancer outro. Okay. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a like. And until next time, Soya.